Let's do it.
All right.
We can't stop here. This is bad country.
Hey, I'm here talking with Jim. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your last name.
Felt.
Oh, Felt. Jim Felt of Felt Bicycles, founder and president of Felt Bicycles here at Interbike 2014. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you.
So, for those of us not familiar, for those of our viewers not familiar, tell us a little bit about how you got into the industry. What was your impetus to enter the cycling industry?
Actually, it's a pretty long story, so I'll shorten it down and condense it. My background was actually professional motorcycle racing.
All right.
I did that for 22 years. I was a professional mechanic for the 4 Japanese factories. And won multiple world and national championships through that career. And during my career, it was a motocross racing. So we used to race our bicycles and run to stay fit for motorcycle racing. Well, I have an engineering background and kind of was already building motorcycle frames and designing them for the Japanese factories. So I started thinking, here I am buying bicycles that I was going and racing. Maybe it's time I design and build my own, seeing how it seems simpler than a motorcycle frame. So I just took a winter in our off season and I built frame jigs. I already had the machine shop and everything, so I just started designing my own tooling, designing everything that went into the bike from the ground up, and just designed my own tubing, everything, and built my first bicycle. Lucky enough, when I built probably my 3rd or 4th bicycle, I won the California State Time Trial Championship with one of my close friends, and then I ran into a triathlete, a South African girl that was looking for sponsorship that we picked up, and her name was Paula Newby-Fraser. She went to Kona, Hawaii the first time she got on the bike and won the Ironman World Championship on it. So I wasn't in business more than a year and had a couple of championships under my belt in the bicycle business. And that bike was so unusual. The story behind that bike was I built this unusual looking bike for Ironman for Paula, and I had the bike done and I had no idea what that bike was going to be named. I didn't have a name for the company or anything at that time. So my wife, Paula, and I were getting ready to go to the race, and she goes, well, what color are we going to make it? Red, blue, whatever? And my wife and Paula were so sick of the names and the colors of what I had to suggest that they said, that's it, we're tired of listening to you, Jim. It's going to be matte black, it's going to look like a stealth B-2 bomber, it's going to intimidate every athlete when it goes into impound, and I'm going to win the race before it even starts, and we're just going to take your motorcycle sticks and call it Felt and slap it on the side of the thing. And here we are today.
And that just kind of highlights something that racing has always been an important part of product development and Felt, like that intimate relationship with the athletes and that feedback loop. And you guys that's always been kind of a part of your design philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where it started. That's where it is today. If you look at our athlete base, every one of their athletes knows me personally. I work with every one of them. And still to this day, that's my rush in life, is to give back to them. They need to come to us and communicate to us whether they like the bike or not, so that we can build and develop a better bike. Their input, hey, their wide open's a lot different than my wide open, so we need to rely on what their input is. They can definitely ride a bike a lot faster than any one of us could, so we need their input.
And that input is incorporated into bikes that are then available to the enthusiast, the weekend crit racer, stuff like that.
Our athletes are the ones that typically are the first ones on the bikes, even if we've got a first prototype. I mean, hey, the bike that Rennie won Ironman World Championship last year was a handmade, hand-laid up IA, the bike right behind us. There was 3 of them made in the world. She won on the first one, so first time she ever rode it.
And Felt's kind of a Cinderella story in a sense, because the industry was fairly well wrapped up by the big 3, but you were able to make some inroads and establish legitimacy and establish a presence pretty early on.
Yeah, I think you know, back 24 years ago, It was a lot different. There was a small group of us, as we'll call them, niche frame builders and stuff, that were penetrating the triathlon road market at that time, that was starting to grow and starting to boom. We kind of started dominating that before the big three players that you're talking about were in that market. And so we established our name and our footprint in that as a brand early on. And to this day, we still carry that on. Still, a lot of people still consider us a triathlon-only brand.
Right.
And here we are with, you know, BMX bikes and cruisers and everything else.
But you still have a strong presence at Kona, obviously, because that's like your roots.
Yeah, that's our roots. Racing will always be our roots. It will always be the pinnacle part of our business.
Well, we really appreciate you sitting down and talking to us. We're a huge fan. Obviously, next time you're in Portland, come in and say howdy.
We're a huge fan as well. We'll be back in Portland.
All right. That's great. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Jim.
man.
All
Yeah,
right,
thanks,
take
you
care.
guys.